You ever noticed that some things cause us to have more stress than others? Well, why do we have this differing response to different types of stressors? And it has to do with cognitive appraisal. Typically, whenever there's an event, our brain is going to interpret that event and then cause us to experience an emotion. And that emotion is what causes the stress response. Now, on occasion, you can have it happen in a different way. Sometimes we'll experience an emotion. We'll wonder why we had that emotion. We'll look for some event. When we find an event, we will then interpret it in the light of the emotion, and then that causes us a stress response. That can happen too. But looking at the first way that this happens, we kind of look at this a cognitive appraisal, in which says we first have a stressor. And at what point our brain is then going to say, is this stressor a challenge or a threat? If it's a challenge, that means we're seeing it as something that has a potential for growth in us or some type of a gain. Wherein if it's a threat, then we're looking at something that is maybe going to lead to some type of a harm or negative consequences, something we're going to lose something. Could be money, could be something we consider valuable. If we interpret it as a threat, we're then going to have a secondary appraisal and say, what options do I have here and how effective are those options going to be? Now, if we can decide that there is an effective option that we could, utilize, then that we're going to interpret this as a lower threat and we're going to have less of a stress response. However, if we feel like we have no options or the options that we have are not going to be very effective at helping, then we're going to perceive this as a higher threat and we're going to have a larger stress response. And so this is what kind of the underlying process behind this cognitive appraisal. And we want to think about this emotion that we're going to have. And we sometimes think that emotions just happen, but they don't. They are part of our cognitive appraisal system. As Barrett said, emotions are not reactions to the world. You are not a passive receiver of sensory input, but an active constructor of your emotions. From sensory input and past experience, your brain constructs a meaning and then prescribes an action. How we interpret events leads to the emotions that we have, and it's something to kind of keep in mind because it's a very important concept. Next time, we're going to talk a little bit more about cognitive appraisal and why stressors affect us with different levels of magnitude.